It was a moonless night, and a thick blanket of darkness shrouded the desolate highway. Jake, a seasoned trucker, had been driving for hours, transporting a mysterious cargo to a remote town. He had heard whispers about this particular route, a legend, some said, a tale of a cursed stretch of road that claimed the souls of unwary travelers. Despite the chilling rumors, Jake dismissed them as mere superstitions. He was a pragmatic man, focused on his job and the promise of a generous payday upon successful delivery. But as the night wore on, a sense of unease crept into his heart, and he couldn't shake off the feeling that he was being watched. The only company on the road was the haunting howl of the wind and the flickering glow of his truck's headlights. The tires hummed against the asphalt, and the passing trees seemed like dark sentinels, whispering secrets among themselves. Suddenly, Jake spotted a hitchhiker by the roadside. He had never picked up hitchhikers, but something about the figure in the shadows compelled him to stop. The man's face was obscured by a wide-brimmed hat, and he wore a tattered coat that seemed out of place on this warm night. "Need a lift?" Jake called out, his voice trembling slightly. The hitchhiker nodded silently and climbed into the cab without a word. The air inside the truck grew heavy, and an eerie silence enveloped them as they continued down the road. Jake tried to strike up a conversation, but the hitchhiker remained stoic, staring out into the abyss. As minutes turned to hours, Jake noticed something peculiar. The road seemed to stretch on indefinitely, with no signs of civilization in sight. He glanced at the GPS, but it showed nothing but a blank screen, as if they were in a void. "Hey, where are we?" Jake asked, his voice betraying his anxiety. The hitchhiker finally spoke, his voice low and chilling. "You've entered the Midnight Highway, a road that exists beyond the realm of the living and the dead. There's no turning back now." Jake's heart pounded in his chest, and a cold sweat covered his brow. He had unwittingly stumbled into the heart of the legend he had dismissed as a mere folktale. As they drove on, strange occurrences started plaguing them. Shadows danced on the edges of Jake's vision, and ghostly figures appeared on the periphery of the headlights. The hitchhiker seemed unfazed, as if he were accustomed to this spectral parade. In the distance, a faint light flickered, drawing their attention. Jake's hope surged, thinking it might be a way out of this supernatural nightmare. But as they approached, the light transformed into a macabre scene, a ghostly truck stop with flickering neon signs and spectral truckers lingering around long-abandoned rigs. Against his better judgment, Jake pulled into the eerily empty parking lot. The hitchhiker stepped out of the cab and Jake followed. The ghostly truckers gazed at them with hollow eyes, and an icy chill permeated the air. In the midst of the apparitions, a ghastly figure emerged from the shadows, a towering figure with a skeletal face and a tattered uniform. It was the infamous Phantom Trucker, a vengeful spirit said to haunt the Midnight Highway. "You've trespassed upon my domain," the Phantom Trucker growled, his voice sending shivers down Jake's spine. "The living have no place here." Terrified, Jake tried to flee, but the Phantom Trucker raised a bony hand, and an invisible force held him in place. The hitchhiker revealed himself to be an accomplice, a lost soul trapped in the Midnight Highway, seeking to ensnare others in his plight. As the Phantom Trucker closed in, a desperate thought crossed Jake's mind. He remembered the cargo he was transporting, a shipment of holy artifacts. With a trembling hand, he opened one of the crates and revealed a cross and a vial of sacred water. Summoning all his courage, Jake held the cross aloft and splashed the water in the direction of the sinister spirits. An intense light filled the truck stop, banishing the malevolent entities back into the shadows. The Phantom Trucker let out an otherworldly roar, weakened by the divine power. In a final act of desperation, he lunged at Jake, but the holy artifacts repelled him, and he vanished into thin air. The eerie surroundings melted away, and Jake found himself back on the deserted highway. The hitchhiker, now free from the Phantom Trucker's grasp, vanished as well, leaving Jake alone in the silence of the night. Trembling but alive, Jake continued his journey, haunted by the night's terrors. From that day forth, he never scoffed at legends again, knowing that some stories are born from chilling truths, and whenever he passed the spot where he encountered the Midnight Highway, he couldn't help but feel the phantom gaze of the vengeful spirits forever lurking in the shadows. the old highway snaked its way through the dense forest, cutting through the darkness like a sinister scar. Few dared to traverse it at night, for rumors of its malevolent past kept travelers at bay. But one fateful night, a group of friends decided to challenge their fears and embark on a road trip along the haunted highway. In an old beaten-up truck, Mike, Sarah, Alex, and Lily set out on their adventure. Laughter filled the air as they shared stories and memories, but an uneasy feeling lingered in the back of their minds. The night grew darker, and the road seemed to stretch endlessly into the eerie shadows. As they continued their journey, strange occurrences began. Shadows danced at the corners of their vision, and the truck's headlights flickered erratically. Mike dismissed the phenomenon as tiredness, but Sarah and Lily exchanged worried glances. Suddenly, the truck's engine sputtered, and they came to a halt in the middle of the desolate road. Panic set in as Mike tried in vain to restart the vehicle. The forest around them seemed to come alive with eerie whispers, and a chilling wind rattled the windows. "We should never have come here," Alex muttered, his voice trembling with fear. But there was no turning back now, and they decided to walk ahead, hoping to find help or a phone signal. As they walked deeper into the darkness, the air grew colder, and the forest seemed to close in around them. Strange symbols appeared on the trees, glowing faintly in the dim moonlight. The friends quickened their pace, their hearts pounding in their chests. Finally, they stumbled upon an abandoned gas station. Relief washed over them as they rushed inside, hoping to find a phone or a helpful soul. But the eerie silence that greeted them was unnerving. "Hello? Is anyone here?" Sarah called out, her voice echoing through the empty station. Suddenly, a faint sound echoed from the back of the building, a shuffling noise like footsteps. The friends exchanged fearful glances as they followed the sound. In the dim light, they saw a figure hunched over an old journal. The person seemed to be chanting something under their breath, their face hidden in the shadows. As the friends approached, the figure turned to reveal a pale, twisted face, eyes glowing with an otherworldly light. Fear paralyzed them as the figure spoke in a chilling voice. "You shouldn't have come here. This is a cursed place, and no one leaves once they've entered." The friends tried to run, but an unseen force held them in place. The figure cackled with delight as they revealed the tragic tale of the haunted highway. Long ago, a malevolent spirit had cursed the road after a tragic accident. Now, anyone who dared to tread upon it would be tormented by the vengeful souls of the deceased. Desperation set in as the friends realized they were trapped in the ghostly web of the highway's curse. The figure revealed that the only way to break free was to offer a sacrifice to the spirits, and only one of them could leave the cursed road alive. A chilling silence filled the air as the friends stared at each other, their minds racing with fear and uncertainty. The highway outside seemed to come alive with the echoes of lost souls, urging them to make their choice. In the end, it was Lily who bravely volunteered to be the sacrifice. Tears streamed down her face as she bid farewell to her friends, knowing that her sacrifice might be the only way to save them. As Lily stepped outside, a bone-chilling wind enveloped her, and the ghostly figure led her to an ancient tree with strange markings etched into its bark. Lily closed her eyes, whispering her final goodbye to her friends before the figure performed the ritual. The night erupted with a burst of unnatural light as Lily's sacrifice broke the curse. The figure vanished, and the friends found themselves back in their truck, the engine roaring to life. Tears streamed down their faces as they drove away from the haunted highway, their hearts heavy with loss and gratitude for their friend's sacrifice. The road behind them faded into the darkness, and they vowed never to speak of that cursed night again. From that day on, the haunted highway was left to its ghosts, and travelers were warned never to venture onto its sinister path. But the memory of that fateful night would forever haunt the hearts and minds of those who dared to challenge the unknown.